B-Ball 3710, World War III seems inevitable. Joe and G making these visits, right? I mean, China wants to like put their arm around Putin and say, yeah, we'll totally support you. But I think there's a couple of problems from China's perspective. One, they may need that equipment at home because China's economy is going the absolute just dumper right now. And people are pretty upset. Lots of banks are closing. People are losing their life savings. Plus, they're trying to saber rattle for Taiwan. And if they send, there's a two, if they send weapons to Russia that is using Ukraine, and those weapons get absolutely shredded by 1980s NATO technology, then China's saber rattling is gone. Folks in the BRICS, the former Soviet and Chinese like armament side, they're seeing exactly what spending a huge proportion of our GDP on developing the most insane weapons ever created means. And NATO definitely came out on top on the designing scary weapons side of the equation. Those things are terrifying, and they seem to be incredibly effective. If you got a $7 million tank and it can get its butt whooped by a $25,000 guided rocket propelled grenade, what good is a tank, right? So I don't think China necessarily wants to have a bunch of their weapons on display just getting creamed by a bunch of former school teachers with NATO weapons. So plus it probably benefits China right now that Russia lose because they're getting cheap oil and they're able to encroach and get a whole bunch of influence into Siberia. So if Russia falls, China will move in there and take all the resources, and there won't be any Russian oligarchs to do anything about it. So it's probably in China's best interest that Russia lose. They'll like give Putin a pat on the back the whole time, but in the end they're like, lots of oil and gold, you say? Okay, and then they're gonna run with that. Lost Waves, Houston. Can you say a negative thing about Volodymyr Zelensky? What will be a negative thing that I should say about him? I mean, he's mentioned in the Pandora Papers. He sold his television studio when he ran for president. He took that money and offshored it, so that's probably not the greatest thing in the world. But it doesn't look like it was tied to like mafia money or anything. I don't believe in offshoring your wealth. Keep your wealth in your country so that your country can benefit from it. Outside that, I mean, Zelensky's proven he's got cojones. He seems to be managing the chief executive position while his country's being invaded pretty darn well. I don't know. He definitely has leadership qualities that I think a lot of heads of state are lacking. So, use that as an opportunity to pretty much say the dude's doing a pretty good job so far. But don't offshore your wealth. Don't do that. Citizen 54, Houston, can you talk about the natural resources discovered in Ukraine and how this is important for the U.S.? Is our support buying access in the future? I don't know if necessarily buying access in the future. I mean, it's definitely the reason why Russia took over Donbass was those resources. We can look it up here. Donbass natural gas. Okay. Where is it? It was like 100 and... Okay. So 2001, they discovered 1.6 billion barrels of oil, 59 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. There was one from, let's see if we can find it here. Russia's silent shale gas victory in Ukraine. Here we go. This is 2015. So this is a year after they invaded Donbass and Crimea. But let's give us numbers. Third largest shale gas reserves at 1.2 trillion cubic meters. Cubic meters. So each cubic meter is like 28 cubic feet. So that's a lot. That's a lot of natural gas. This is all shale. This is like the stuff that's in the Oregonday that Nextbridge has, but at levels that dwarf Nextbridge's natural gas. So January 2013 opened way for potential $10 billion investment in the field. So basically, Shell had signed on. Royal Dutch Shell had signed on to start 2013 to start exploring that region and getting gas out, and then Russia invaded the next year. So basically, Russia has this giant pipeline that goes across Ukraine, right? It supplies Europe with natural gas. Ukraine could now supply an equal amount of natural gas to Europe and cut off Russia from that pipeline. Russia wouldn't Germany and those wouldn't have to give Putin money anymore for natural gas, and that was terrifying to Putin. It's been said that Elon Musk's turn and his rhetoric came from the fact that Russia was like, "Hey, Elon, in Donbass we have a boatload of lithium." So, lithium Donbass. Okay. This Foreign Policy Center. Okay. This one talk about the amount of lithium in Donbass. Okay, so Ukraine's treasure trove of lithium holding 500,000 tons of lithium. And the rumor is that about that time that Elon started talking shit about Ukraine, he had a phone call with Putin. And it was reported in the news that he had someone from Axios or someone was like, yeah, Elon talked to Putin, and that's why he's changed his mind. And Putin basically said, Elon, I need you to start getting on board, because if you let me control Donbass, I'll make sure you got the private contracts to this 500,000 tons of lithium that are in Donbass. So they've got oil and gas, and they've got lithium out the wazoo. And that's the real reason why Putin wants to obtain both those regions, because it would allow him to continue his monopoly on Europe's energy resources. So Elon's like, I didn't talk to him, and then Russia was like, oh no, he talked to us. So, so that'd be my guess is that that's the real reason for this war in the region is that Russia is, they're a mafia, and it's really easy to control basic energy resources, and so that's what they want. They're like, hey, we want our hegemony, brah, and they invade. So there you go. Okay.